following KBLA Talk 1580 on all of our socials, then you're missing out. Download our app and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at KBLA 1580.
That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcast of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Follow the leader.
Following the leader.
Oh my God.
Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
Hey Zoe, I'm calling your show, 'cause I need to know. Show me which way to go before I throw my man out the door.
Okay, hold on a second, Keisha. Just let me ask Ronald exactly what's going on, because it takes two to tango, and I need to hear his side of the story.
So she's driving me insane, got stress heavy on my brain. She keeps playing silly games, man, I'm about to bring the pain. We seem to fuss and fight every day and every night. Please give some advice so we can see the light, see the light.
The Alchemist talked about it in a lovely sequenced way, which makes it seem so wonderfully knowable, but for most of us, it's not quite so predictable. We do a little bit of one stage, and then another stage, we come back, pick up a thread. But the first stage that the alchemists called the Negredo, which we could think psychologically is that initial stage which is characterized by this experience of chaos and confusion and suffering. We're in that place where Jung has told us one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious.
The alchemists believed that metals had to be changed back into the prima materia before they could be transmuted. So, and Joseph, this goes to what you were saying a minute ago. It's one of the basic sayings is, I think we've already said it, is salve et coaguleo. So dissolve and coagulate. And it implies psychologically that for change to happen, we have to go back to a former state before something new can come forward. And although I don't play golf, I have heard golfers complain that, if you develop a certain golf stroke, right? And then if you're going to try to improve that, the pro comes and tells you you're doing this wrong, you got to put your weight here, or whatever they say. And people's game falls apart at that point. Like they can't play at all. That's the salve before they learn the new skill. So this is a pattern of this is also in the psychoanalytic world. It's sort of commonly known that you have to regress before you move forward. And Jung, of course, used a French phrase for that, recueillir pour mieux sauter, which is to kind of go back.
Ooh.
So
That's
you can
impressive.
better
Say
jump
that
forward.
again.
Well, no, I think that our French listeners will be horrified at my pronunciation, but in any case, again, it's an archetypal pattern that in a change process, we have to go back to the way we were before, or sometimes just fall apart and dissolve before we can move forward into a new form.
See, the voice of reason. Leroy called me out yesterday. Yes, I was sent here by the cosmos to teach, but guess what? I get to be human and upset about it. Huh? What's your favorite movie where, there's this, the teacher comes to this school and all of the kids are wayward, and what's that? I know you guys know the kids were bad and then the teacher won them over. What's the name of that movie? Lean on Me. Lean on Me is a good one. There's another one, right? It's called Kids. What's the one with Coach Carter? Dangerous Minds. Somebody said Freedom Writers. So here's the thing, right? When I say I'm a teacher, just understand that teacher, if you're a good teacher, you understand that the pendulum between teacher and student is always swinging. You're not always a teacher, right? And you're not always the student. There are moments when, they say preparation meets opportunity equals success. There is a moment, and many moments throughout our lives, where preparation meets opportunity and we are the teacher in that moment. But then there are other moments when the sum total of everything we think we know is useless in that moment, and then we have to become students again. And the conflict arises within us when we resist the pendulum of life that swings from teacher to student. Many times this happens in intimate relationship. As the clip explained, sometimes you got to go back to the past. Sometimes you have to go back to the moment of that first hurt, of that first moment of neglect, of abandonment, of being shut down, that first moment of not being seen, of not being heard, of not being valued. Sometimes you got to go back there. But we've built a life on getting away from there by having that moment contribute to the core of who we think we are. Listen to what I'm saying. We've elevated the moment we don't want to go back to. This, what I'm saying is what Carl Jung said. What we resist persists. We don't like the feeling. We don't like how that moment made us feel, but that moment has become the hands of the potter, the potter's house. That moment has sculpted our identity, right? So this takes me to today's topic. The great Bruce Lee said something that was quite profound, but I think people who are not healed, or even I am flawed in saying this. I keep saying healed. There is no healed. There's only healing, right? People who are not on the healing journey might misinterpret what the great Bruce Lee said. And of course, Bruce Lee pulled some of this stuff from Krishnamurti. He says, the only help there is self-help, self-improvement, self-help. Now, this can become problematic if you don't understand the depth of what's being conveyed, the meaning behind the statement. The only help there is self-help. Agree or disagree? Everything else is merely support, a deeper look into pathological suffering. Now, the second part of that, everything else is merely support. What that implies is it is not your partner's responsibility to regulate your emotions. If you modeled a situation that made it difficult for you to regulate your own emotions, whatever attachment style you may have gotten, whether it is dismissive avoidant or fearful avoidant or anxious preoccupied, it's not your partner's responsibility to co-regulate. Really, co-regulation is for adults and children. I'm going to help the baby co-regulate because they don't understand their emotions. I'm going to be present for the child. The child may not have a grip or an understanding of what their triggers may be. So I will co-regulate with the child, right? But for adults, if you have to co-regulate, somebody is imbalanced, right? Or they're two imbalanced people that need to learn how to co-regulate. Do you see? So people taking the quote, the only help there is self-help. Agree or disagree? Everything else is merely support. A deeper look into into pathological suffering. Now, the reason why we suffer is because we've identified with what happened. And usually when you identify with what happened, you become a victim of what happened. Do you see? Wherever there's a victim, there is the chance of entitlement. I know you don't want to hear it. I'm sorry. And I'm not saying there aren't real victims out there who have been wronged or hurt by somebody. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is when you identify as one, when it becomes part of yourself, this is where we get into trouble. Now, Krishnamurti's take on the only help there is self-help, this is what he said about it. He said, we are talking of something entirely different. Not of self-improvement, but of the cessation of the self. He's talking about the identity, the ego. When you look at the word ego, it means personality, ego, persona, who you think you are, right? Your identity, your personhood, right? Me, the me of it. This is who I am. Listen, and many of y'all don't even understand. This is where your truth comes from. Oof, I know I'm setting this thing up cold tonight. This is where your truth comes from, right? Well, my truth is it didn't happen that way. Do you see? Someone who has a perpetual victimhood mindset will always cast themselves as the victim. Do you understand? In the absence of effective self-help, what alternative frameworks can lead to genuine healing? What psychological constructs make self-help feel like a double-edged sword for individuals grappling with trauma? Is the basic objective of self-help to foster independence, or does it sometimes reinforce isolation? You guys remember what I said a couple weeks ago. Until there's internal neutrality, there cannot be relational mutuality. Internal neutrality, what is that? Being okay with self, accepting self, getting on the healing journey. Many people have an external routine, but the internal routine is rooted in chaos, and then they use the external routine as the crutch or the fence or the boundary to keep the internal chaos at bay. I know you don't want to hear it put this way, but many people do this. They don't understand. They don't understand. I've got to go into me, like the clip stated in the beginning. Sometimes you got to go back to what made, listen to how I'm going to frame this. Sometimes you have to go back to the moment that made you who you think you are today. How might one redefine self-help from a relational perspective, considering the teachings of interdependence found in Buddhism? In what ways do self-care and self-reciprocity feed into each other, and how can they be misinterpreted as self-help? See, many people have misconstrued self-help, meaning I'm going to help myself. Listen to what I mean by that. I'm going to help myself to this. I deserve better. Not I'm going to work on myself. No. I'm going to help myself to whatever I think I want and deserve. How many people, the best way to get over somebody is to get on with somebody else? Huh? How many people have used distractions to so-called, quote-unquote, move on? Whether it's drugs, drinking, alcohol, hypersexuality, just being out there doing things, traveling, just anything to get your mind off of what ultimately could heal you. Can self-care practices inadvertently lead to neglecting deeper emotional wounds? And so on. Self-care practices. What is he talking about? Oh, I'm going to take a bath. Oh, I'm going to go to a concert. Oh, I'm going to go to the beach. Oh, I'm going to go have cocktails with the girls. Yes, distractions must not be classified as self-help. When I come forward, if you think I'm done with this setup, you out of your rabbit mind. Lord have mercy, I got so much more to talk about.
Reasons. The reasons that we're here, the reasons that we fear, our feelings won't disappear. You're listening to the voice of reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580.
Tabitha Smiley's new book, The Covenant with Black America, 20 years later, is now on sale everywhere. This classic text shot to #1 on the New York Times bestsellers list almost 2 decades ago. If you have the original book, you will surely want to get this 20th anniversary edition with powerful new contributions from today's leading voices. This 20th anniversary edition presents a compelling blend of historical insights and contemporary urgency in this critical and unprecedented election year. Get your copy of The Covenant with Black America 20 years later today.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment. LA's 99 neighborhood councils form the grassroots level of the Los Angeles city government. The system was created to connect LA's diverse communities to City Hall. While neighborhood council board members are volunteers, they are also public officials elected to office by the members of their community. Neighborhood councils advocate on issues like homelessness, housing, land use, emergency preparedness, public safety, parks, transportation, and sustainability. They also provide local expertise on the delivery of city services to their various communities. Neighborhood councils are open to participation by anyone who is a part of the fabric of daily life in said community. This includes those who live, work, or own property or a business. If you are interested in stepping up to join your local neighborhood council, visit www.empowerla.org. That's empowerla.org. It's time to think globally, but act locally. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Helping to broaden your political
And moral imagination.
with our 2024 Climate Justice Campaign. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
You've got a Pepto predicament, moviegoer.
Hey, I can hear your stomach grumbling.
Sorry, I ate that entire tub of popcorn with extra butter.
You overdid it, and now your movie has turned into a blockbuster bellyache. Undo it with Pepto.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Pepto chewables provide fast 5-symptom relief, so you can focus on the action on the big screen instead of in your stomach. When you overdo it, undo it with Pepto. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
You know you want some more. More. It's the voice of reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580.
I reminisce for a spell, or shall I say think back 22 years ago to keep it on track. The birth of a child on the 8th of October, a toast, but my granddaddy came sober. Count all the fingers and the toes, now I suppose you hope the little black boy grows. 18 years younger than my mama, but I really got beatings cause the girl loved drama. In single parenthood, there I stood. By the time she was 21, had another one. This one's a girl, let's name her Pam. Same father as the first, but you don't give a damn. Irresponsible, plain not thinking. Papa said chill, but the brother keep winking. Still he won't down you or tear out your hide. On your side while the baby make a slide. But mama got wise to the game. The youngest of 5 kids, hun, here it is. After 10 years without no spouse, mama's getting married in the house. Listen, positive over negative for the woman a master. Mother Queen's rise in the chapter. Deja vu, tell you what I'm gonna do when they reminisce over you, my God.
We seem to be more free than ever before. We can order whatever food we'd like, we can travel almost anywhere, and pursue any career that our heart desires. And yet, depression and burnout are also everywhere. The mental health crisis has only increased. Why is this? When was the last time you felt like you were enough? We are always striving to do more and to be more, to always be improving ourselves. I would argue that it is this cultural emphasis on self-improvement that leaves us so fundamentally burnt out and depressed. In such a culture, we embrace hyperactivity, finding ourselves in a state of compulsive striving. We have little time to connect with both ourselves and others. We are steeped in the normalized myth that we are each of us mere individuals, striving to attain private goals. The more we define ourselves that way, the more estranged we become from vital aspects of who we are and what we need to be healthy. Our culture is not good for mental health, and this shouldn't be shocking news. Researchers like Tim Kasser have found the 4 principles of American corporate capitalism: self-interest, a desire for financial success, consumerism, and competition, consistently lead to poor mental health outcomes. Why then do we...
Did you hear all of that? Did you hear all of that? And that's just the social piece. That's on top of what happened to you in that moment. The moment that made you feel like you weren't enough. The moment that made you feel like you were unworthy. That's what happened. Can personal introspection and self-awareness alone address complex life challenges? What is an example of self-help is the best help? Right? What is the inability to care for self-help needs? Why doesn't self-help help? What are the disadvantages of self-help? How effective is self-help? Do self-help methods always consider the impact of external factors on personal relationships? How can one ensure that they are not simply avoiding deeper issues by relying solely on self-help? Bruce Lee's philosophy, particularly encapsulated in his quote, "The only help there is self-help," right? Speaks to the intrinsic power of individual agency and self-awareness in the healing process. When we consider the notion that relationships are divinely fine-tuned mirrors reflecting our unhealed traumas back upon ourselves, we can reconcile this perspective with Lee's assertion in several profound ways. One, Lee took it from Krishnamurti, the mirroring function of relationships. Relationship often serves as mirrors, right? Revealing aspects of ourselves that we may not fully acknowledge or that we might be resisting. They can highlight our insecurities, fears, and unresolved traumas, acting as a catalyst for introspection and personal growth. Remember, your partner is just that, a partner. They are walking with you. They're not doing the work for you. They're walking with you. That's what support and presence means. It doesn't mean I got to go inside your trauma and help you lift it. No, you have to lift it. And also find strength in their presence. Find resilience in the fact that they're there when nobody else would be. Oh, we have more to cover. When we come forward, I'm going to go even deeper.
Yeah, so lovely. That's how we like to do it in the 90s. Deepak, still smooth, coming at y'all. When I date back, I recall a man off the family tree. My right hand, Papa Doc, I see. Took me from a boy to a man, so I always had a father when my biological didn't bother. Taking care of this, so who am I to pick up?
He's on fire tonight. It's the Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams, exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. Vice President Kamala Harris is defending the Biden administration's border policies. Interviewed on CBS's 60 Minutes, she blamed former President Trump for the increase in border crossings, saying he told his buddies in Congress to kill a bipartisan border security deal. When pressed about the flood of illegal immigrants during the first 3 years of the Biden administration, she doubled down, saying Congress must be allowed to act to fix the problem. On the topic of the war in Gaza, Harris reiterated that Israel has a right to defend itself and how it does so matters. The topic of guns also came up, and Harris revealed she owns a Glock and that she's fired it at a shooting range. In Atlanta, MARTA is continuing to bring attention to civil rights icons. The authority revealed a bus that is themed to pay tribute to Joseph E. Lowery and Evelyn Gibson Lowery, who are both Black. Dr. Lowery was on the MARTA board of directors for nearly a quarter of a century. His wife was considered to be a historical activist. That's the latest. I'm Amber Payton on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
September 15th to 21st is Asthma Peak Week, with the highest concentration of asthma flare-ups and hospitalizations. To become a more active participant in your care, visit luma-edu.com. This message is brought to you by Amgen and AstraZeneca.
Follow the leader.
KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader.
If you're not following KBLA Talk 1580 on all of our socials, then you're missing out. Download our app and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at KBLA 1580.
That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcast of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Follow the leader. Oh my God. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
Looking for a purposeful and passionate way to make a difference in your community? Volunteer with our Senior Medicare Patrol and help prevent Medicare fraud. SMP volunteers work in their community educating peers about healthcare fraud and how to prevent and detect it. Free training starts soon. Check us out online or at an SMP open house near you. We're on a mission to stop fraud. Join our team. You make a difference. Visit ca-smp-volunteer.org.
Chevy, All the Things 2024 Truck Season Radio 30, code GWMR 0294000.
This truck season, think about all the things you can do in a Chevy truck. You'll be able to, or you can even just, with impressive towing, incredible bed and tailgate functionality, and multiple powertrains, Chevy trucks have what you need to get things done. When you want to do it all, Chevy's got you. Chevrolet, together let's drive.
Eggs are a staple in our diets, and there's only one egg with more delicious farm fresh taste plus superior nutrition. Eggland's Best. With more vitamins, including 6 times more vitamin D and 10 times more vitamin E, plus 25% less saturated fat than ordinary eggs. Available in so many delicious varieties: classic, cage-free, and organic. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Watch out! You got me!
The galaxy is safe once again.
In the pretend universe, kids play with pretend guns. In the real world, it's up to us to make sure they don't get their hands on a real gun. If you have a gun in the house, keep it locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
KBLA Talk 1580 congratulates Tavis Smiley on receiving the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award from President Joseph R. Biden Jr. for a lifelong commitment to using his media and philanthropic platforms to help build a stronger nation. A host of Tavis's family, friends, colleagues, and luminaries, including LA Mayor Karen Bass, joined in the celebration. KBLA Talk 1580 wishes to thank the following partners for their support: the Weingart Foundation, Dr. Shikari Byerly, Rodrigo Byerly, and the team at Aviterus Public Opinion Research, Waters Tax Service, LA Councilmember Heather Hutt, the Empowerment Congress, Wallace and Renee Fortuné, the IQ Air Foundation, Dr. Kenneth Arduna and Central Neighborhood Christian Health Clinics, LA County Supervisor Holly Mitchell, LA County Supervisor Janice Hahn, Ambassador Michael A. Lawson, Ambassador Charles R. Stiff, and Attorney John E. Sweeney. Congratulations, Tavis, on your Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. You're listening to the voice of reason with Zoe Williams. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Step into my zone, mad rhymes will stifle ya.
Lines like rifles go blast when I kick some. A lot of rappers be like one-time wonders. Couldn't say a fly rhyme if there was one right under their noses. I hate those motherfucking posers, but I'm so real to them it's scary. And with my unique skills, nah, you can't compare me. And no, we don't make whack tracks. And all the suckers get pushed back when I'm kicking real facts. I represent, set up shit like a tech boy. You're paranoid cause you're a son like Elroy. And you'd be happy as hell to get a record deal. Maybe your soul you'd sell to have massive appeal.
What would you estimate are the boundaries between self-care and selfishness?
Well, that's a good follow-up question for what we've been just discussing. Well, the first thing we have to sort out there is, well, what do you mean by self? And people make memes about me because I'm always asking for word definitions. But, and it annoys people because they think, well, it's just, you know what that means. It's like, is God real? What do you mean by real? Well, you can't ask that. It's like, well, then you can't ask your question either. What do you mean real? Well, everyone understands that. It's like, really, we do we? We understand what's real. We've got that nailed down. What you're really asking is something like, here's what I am insisting that you regard as real, which is usually something like an objective materialism. Does God fit into that category? It's like, well, that's a completely different question than the one you asked. No, perhaps, is the answer to that question, but you didn't formulate the question reasonably, because when you formulate a question like, is God real? God's a mystery in that question, and so is real. And you don't get away with the axiomatic presupposition that you've got real nailed down and all we have to do now is mop up God. It's not reasonable. It's not acceptable in the least. It's just a trick, and it's not a very sophisticated trick. And so in this situation, selfishness versus self-care, well, I think really the issue there is the definition of self. So whatever the self is very complicated, because it's really what you are at your core. That's the question. That's unbelievably complicated. It's like, what the hell do you know about who you...
See? Do you see? What are you at your core? And for many of us, can I just be really honest right now? For many of us, we are what happened to us. Which means that's not you. And many of us don't even understand that until we get elevated in age, right? Whatever happened to you is not you. But many of us identify with what happened to us. Now, watch this. When you're not yourself, you lean on everything else outside of you to supplement what you think you need. This is why I need my needs met is so big in relationships, right? So watch this. You don't need a book. You don't need a priest. You don't need a psychologist. Many people say, Zoe, what are you talking about? Yes, we do. We need help. Now watch this. Krishnamurti. To know yourself, you need not go to any book, to any priest, to any psychologist. The whole treasure is within yourself. Here's the problem. Most people who have been hurt, and we talk about maladaptive, insecure attachment styles, they don't see themselves as a treasure, which is why they go out to the book, to the person, to the priest, to the relationship. This is why they go out in search of, instead of going in love. Self-care is self-empathy. The empathy for, oh, this happened to me, but it's not my fault. They said I wasn't enough, but I believed them because I loved them. Oh, man, let me introduce my friend, man. He flew all the way out here from Madagascar, Africa. No, he got out of Florida just in time, didn't you?
Just in time.
Come on, man. Introduce yourself to the people, man.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Coach Baruti. As Zoe said, I just escaped to evacuate from the hurricane that's getting ready to rip through my beautiful little town, the town called Eatonville. It's the first and the oldest black incorporated town in the United States. We're the home of Zordon Hurston, Joyce Finderilla Irby, Deacon Jones.
Wait, Joyce Irby?
Joyce Irby,
producer
of
Climax?
Climax, that's my wife's first cousin.
Come on, man. She produced Troop. Come
Yeah,
on.
Meeting in his ladies' radio. All
I
of that.
know who she is. Come on. Yes.
So we got a wonderful little town. Chucky Atkins. He played for the Lakers for a short
I remember
stint.
Chucky Atkins.
Yeah. So that's where I'm from. We're 2.5 miles, and we're making big and beautiful things happen there.
So talk to me about this quote, which is the premise, of the show tonight. And that is, the only help there is self-help. Now, can a person who hasn't gotten to a state of self-neutrality, now this isn't a psychological term, this is a term that I'm using. Okay. Self-neutrality meaning I'm okay. I'm all right as me. Everything that's me, hurt, good, bad, dark, indifferent, I'm okay with me. Self-neutrality. Can a person who hasn't gotten to that level actually use self-help to heal? Talk to me.
No. I would say that's the short answer. It's not complicated. I mean, it's to say it's complicated to do, but it's not complicated to be aware of. Some years ago, my revelation, I was standing in front of the mirror, just found myself crying. And I realized that I was always the driver to every destination that I ever went to.
Come on, I'm listening.
And I sat next to my wife, and she was like, "What's wrong?" I said, "I realized that I'm just like full of crap." So I just began to work on me, and then all of the things that were existing in our relationship that were causing us to be separate on whatever issues that we were separate on began to go away. So I just realized that I had been teaching this, but I hadn't been embracing it and embodying it, and that is the journey is always inward.
Yes.
So once I started focusing on me, everything else began to fall into play.
And when you do that, if you're lucky enough to have someone to love you through that process,
exactly,
they become what they were always meant to be, and that is your companion.
Yes.
Support.
Yes.
They can walk with you through your journey.
Right.
And they're not obligated to co-regulate for you. They're not obligated to, come and carry your weight for you. Because many of us have the idea that is what a good partner should do.
Right.
Is carry the burden of your unhealed wound, which is really your work and your work alone. You're the one with the keys and the code to the wound. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Talk to me.
Kevin Samuels was absolutely right as long as you played the game that Kevin Samuels was talking about. Nothing he said mattered unless you were in that game. So coming to being your authentic self is a challenge, but it's absolutely necessary. Realizing we find it easy to accept what's good about ourselves, but that bad side and that ugly side, that's what we actually attach ourselves to people to help us manage, or actually most often we want them to manage that part of ourselves rather than to be us. But as you say on the show all the time, your relationship is a mirror. So what you're looking at is looking right back at you, and is allowing you to see what you have to work on, and you have to put yourself in position to allow all that you see about yourself to recognize that is your authentic self.
But you do know it's very difficult. Say the fearful avoidant has the ick, dismissive avoidants have icks. Many people are triggered. Anxious, preoccupied, deals with anxiety. Are they going to leave me? Am I worthy? Am I good enough? So everybody is in a perpetual motion to move away from that which is uncomfortable.
Yeah, but it's simple. You have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. I mean, it's
if you want to heal.
Yeah, right.
If you want to start that process.
If you want to start the process, scared, because we know that you never are going to be a perfect being.
Right.
But you can reduce the friction. You can reduce the
intensity of it.
The intensity of it. You can lessen the impact.
Yes.
And then what used to trigger you no longer triggers you.
Right.
Sometimes people like to say, you did this to me. Well, I don't know if that's necessarily true. I think you can be in a situation where if you haven't dealt with something and then I say something and then you say, I hurt your feelings. Well, did I hurt your feelings, or did you hurt your feelings for failing to deal with this in a way that when you did hear it from me, you weren't triggered?
Listen, you know how many people would rather go work out in a gym than work out their wounds? Because what you just described, you were talking about building wound tolerance. Yeah. You know you can get to a point where you can plateau when you're working out.
Right.
And you go, I got to up the tolerance. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now what used to trigger you, right,
won't
trigger you anymore. It will take a more intense situation or event in order to trigger you if you've been working on that wound. Listen, when I come forward, Coach Baruti and Zoe Williams up in here cutting up. Let's get it.
Is it good to you? More Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams when we come forward.
To help combat climate change, LADWP is helping neighborhoods have better access to electric vehicles by awarding nearly $130 million in EV rebates to customers just like you. From big savings on used EVs to building new charging plazas, LADWP is charging ahead to help all Angelenos experience the benefits of EVs. Get rebates of up to $4,000 for a used EV and $1,750 for a charger. Learn more at ladwp.com/EV. That's ladwp.com/EV.
To the 100 million people who owe the IRS money, this message is for you. We've helped tens of thousands of people close the door on their tax debt. So if you feel like you're stuck in a hole with IRS tax debt, then this is the easiest way to get a resolution quickly. To qualify for a no-pay or low-pay resolution, just call 687-246-9655 to get free from the IRS once and for all.
To keep your bank accounts, income, and assets secure, tax closure is your same-day cure.
Hey, LA residents, it's planting season and the perfect time to get shade trees growing around your home. LADWP and City Plants are giving every resident up to 7 free trees. That's right, 7 free trees delivered right to your door. Trees are great for the environment, help improve air quality, and can help you save on your bill when you use less air conditioning to stay cool indoors. Learn more at ladwp.com/free trees. That's ladwp.com/free trees.
Around here, we don't believe in victimhood. We believe in raising our voices, amplifying black voices in the climate conversation. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
You have something special. You have greatness in you. Hello, this is Les Brown. I want you to go to lesbrownpowertour.com. On October the 11th, 12th, and 13th, this weekend, we will be at the Airport Marriott, teaching people the techniques and strategies on how you can begin to live your dream right now. Many people have the ability to do more, but unfortunately, they're trying to open new doors with old keys. We're going to teach you how to monetize your brilliance with one of the speakers. We have a lady who was once a gas station cashier, and she's now a billionaire, and she's going to share her knowledge. I'm going to share with you how to tell your story, how to present yourself, and how you can earn millions of dollars with your wisdom and your experiences. October the 11th, 12th, and 13th, this weekend. Go to LesBrownPowerTour.com. It's going to change your life. Spread the word. Go to LesBrownPowerTour.com this weekend in LA at the Marriott at the airport. This is your moment. You have something special. You have greatness in you. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
You know you want some more. It's the Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580.
Walk a fine chalk line and put the needle to the grind. Representing one kind, see an eye for the blind. Witness what I carry on bears a further purpose. From how we do slam a few, then you wanna purchase a dialogue of funk. You love to pop it in your trunk. I win more discipline than the Shaolin monk. Pete Rock and CL, well set to spark it. The powerful target to destroy the black market. But when you say black, listen, I don't know, you lose me. I guess another beggar can't afford to be choosy. I come to the maximum, artist on the major label. Any duplication of this one is fatal.
The 12-step program, we all joke about the first step, admitting you have a problem, but it's the 12th step that matters. If an alcoholic masters all 11 steps and not the 12th, it's highly likely they'll drink again. If they master the 12th step, they're much more likely to overcome the disease. The 12th step is the commitment to help another alcoholic. It's service. And this really is the most powerful thing in the world, which is, it's not about us, it's about others. You know, there's an entire section in the bookshop called self-help. There's no section in the bookshop called help others, right? And it's not about how can I lose 10 pounds? How can I find the job that I love? How can I find the love of my life? You know? No. It's not how can I lose 10 pounds, it's how can I help somebody I care about live a healthy lifestyle. It's not how can I find the job that I love, it's how can I help somebody I care about find a lifetime of joy in their work. It's not how can I find true love, it's how can I help my friends settle down and live the life they want to live. And
there is no helping others until you help yourself. You can't help yourself until you confront yourself. And then you think confronting oneself is an aggressive action. But it isn't. It's a non-judgmental, observation-based action. It's almost like, listen to what I'm about to say, because many of you are attached to your ego. And it was the Buddha who said, attachment is the source of suffering. So you're attached to who you think you are, but the moment you start to look at yourself from a non-attached, loving space, empathetic space, unattached, I accept you as you are. You don't have to be anything. It's not your fault. Whatever happened to you is not you. You're looking at yourself from that perspective, not knowing that this is how you start the healing process, right? Many of us have identified with the hurt, wounded child, and now that person or that moment is in the driver's seat of our lives. Krishnamurti says it this way: introspection is not self-improvement, and therefore introspection is self-centeredness. Awareness is not self-improvement. On the contrary, it is the ending of the self, of the I, the ego, right? Who you think you are, who the wound told you you were. It is the ending of that, with all its particular idiosyncrasies, memories, demands, and pursuits. In introspection, there is identification and condemnation. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Right? In awareness, there is no condemnation or identification. Therefore, there is no self-improvement. There is a vast difference between the two. Your thoughts before we go to our caller?
when you join something, you got to, as you said before, when you join something, you have to defend it. So, all of the things that you think made you who you think you are. It's, there was a song in the 70s, "Who do you think you are?" Mr. Big Stuff.
Mr. Big Stuff.
Mr. Big Stuff.
Yes.
Right. So who do you think you are? And once you begin to ask who do you think you are, then you get to ask yourself some more questions like, who made you that? What made you that? And then in breaking that down and into little bite-sized pieces, you get to begin to tear away and because getting rid of your ego, it's a painful process.
Right.
Right. And then there's a grieving phase.
Right.
Right. But then you begin to build back up.
Right. And it's hard to say in empathetic, non-judgmental, non-detached love that my mother didn't do a good job.
Right.
Or that my father didn't do a good job.
Absolutely.
It's hard to say that.
Yes.
Right? Because there is love even in the toxicity that was produced by the limitation of whatever toolbox they had.
Right.
Conflict resolution, conflict management, communication issues, abuse. It's really difficult to look at them without resentment, without judgment, without condemnation. Remember, Krishnamurti, identification and condemnation. It's really difficult to do that. You ready to talk to our caller?
Absolutely.
From Florida, you already know what it is. Pensacola, Florida, Nzinga. I swear I hope you are okay tonight.
Yes, sir, I am. Thank you. Hey, Bill, how are you? How's everybody? Coach, I'm glad you made it.
Thank you.
Safely out of Florida. You're welcome. I was supposed to call the other day, but I chickened out.
That's all right. It's okay. You get the chicken out. It's all right. You get the chicken out. But talk to me. What are your thoughts on tonight's topic?
Well, I guess I want to call because I want to, cape for self-care. I think it gets a bad rap. I think people think it's spa days and procrastination and doing everything except the work. And I think maybe, I don't even want to say Instagram, maybe TV movies. You hear self-care Sundays and it's champagne.
And strawberries, chocolate-covered strawberries, don't forget that. No, but go ahead.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No, seriously. But I think self-care is the bridge to everything that you're discussing tonight.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
I think that self-care is more of the mindfulness.
Yes.
The journal.
But I think
walking, going to nature trails and stuff like that, and resetting.
Yes, and I think we're both saying the same things, but I wanted to make the distinction that self-care isn't those distractions. You have to remember, if you're walking, and which is a beautiful thing, is you're walking, but you're not working. Sometimes a walk can be an escape. Do you see? And that's okay for a moment. But the reality of it is, at some point, you have to sit down, whether you're walking, whether you're sitting by the ocean, at some point, you have to sit down and embrace that wound. And many people will rather take the walk and not deal with the wound. We're not saying self-care isn't important. We're saying don't let the activity be the vehicle for escaping self-care itself.
Another distraction.
Stay with me, Nzinga. You right on point with us. When we come forward, more from Pensacola, Florida.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. Vice President Kamala Harris is defending the Biden administration's border policies. Interviewed on CBS's 60 Minutes, she blamed former President Trump for the increase in border crossings, saying he told his buddies in Congress to kill a bipartisan border security deal. When pressed about the flood of illegal immigrants during the first 3 years of the Biden administration, she doubled